Hi, my name is Cassidy and I'm the Deputy Editor of the SAAB. We're here today to interview Zachary Davis, who's the candidate for Director of Education in this year's union elections. Hi Zach.
Hey.
Thanks for Why do you want to be this year's Director of Education?
So I'm really passionate about our university and our education, and the reason that we're all here at this university is to study and to enjoy learning about things that we're passionate about, and I want to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to challenge themselves and really enjoy their experience here, because I think it's a wonderful place. And I've also been the school president of chemistry this past year, and that's really to help me kind of fuel my passion for this, kind of having an active part in improving the students' experience. It's been really enjoyable, and I just want to kind of take it to the next step and kind of take kind of the proposals I've been working in, like with my own department, and kind of spread them over the university.
So going off of your experience there as school president for chemistry, do you want to explain why that and other experiences you might have would help you do the job next year?
Yeah, so obviously as a school president I've worked quite closely with Jack, the current DO rep at the moment, and it's given me insight on kind of how the university works, how their policies are implemented, kind of the various committees that go on there. And also we meet with the union, we've got education committee, the school presidents forum, so these are all kind of good platforms that I've gained experience in kind of working with, and I kind of understand how to get policies kind of implemented within their own departments and that kind of thing, which I think is kind of a good kind of insight to kind of have. And I've also kind of, through this, made close relationships with various academics, within the school presidents forum, like the deans come along and the proctor, and so I've kind of got that inside kind of experience that I feel would be really beneficial for this job.
So the Director of Education is obviously a new role this year. It's part of the split in the DO rep role into Director of Wellbeing and Director of Education. So how would you help define the role in its inaugural year?
Yeah, so I think I kind of wanted to start kind of where Jack's kind of leaving his position off. Kind of, he's got a lot of kind of policies that he's implemented, and I want to kind of take them forward, kind of make sure, kind of set the foundations for this role, and kind of really see what we can do with it. Because obviously now it's a full-time role just spent on education, and that's what I'm really passionate about. And I want to kind of push and see where we can take this role, kind of, and use this extra time that we've got now to kind of really work into extra policies and kind of making sure that all the time spent doing good things to improve the student experience here.
So one of the things about the Director of Education role is that it will replace the DO rep's position on the University Court, which is the highest governing body of the university. How do you think you'd fare there on the University Court?
I mean, I'm quite strong-willed, I feel, and I feel like I have kind of connections with the various academics that do sit on this court. I think also talking to Jack, I've gotten kind of a lot of insight of kind of how it operates and stuff like that. It obviously is quite a daunting experience going into it, and I think I would just kind of take my time with it and make sure I go in prepared, know what I kind of want to advocate for, and stand up for the students and what they're wanting represented.
Moving on to some of your manifesto promises now, one of the things you made quite prominent in the beginning of your manifesto is around the issue of study spaces. Do you just want to explain your policy around study spaces and what you want to do for them?
Yeah, so obviously we've got the library redevelopment coming up, and I think that's going to massively impact the available study spaces in the library. And I want to ensure that I'm constantly actively listening to student feedback during that process to ensure that any inconveniences that can be solved are solved in a timely manner, so that we have efficient use of space. And also, I kind of, on your union website, we do kind of have an outdated list of kind of various study spaces around the university, and I kind of want to revamp this, because something that I've seen done in Oxford is they had a study space finder, and it has a list of all like the cafes around town, and you can sort through these based on like what kind of work environment you want. If you're going to work with others, you're just looking to work by yourself, and I think kind of collating all that information into one place where students can look at it will really help when they might not necessarily want to go to the library, they might be looking for a coffee shop, kind of working that kind of stuff, and just kind of put information about like room sizes, what facilities are available, and how to, if booking needs to be done, how to kind of go about that, who to contact.
So do you really want to focus more on expanding the number of study spaces we have now, or making use of the ones we have now?
I think we need to make good use of the kind of ones we have at the moment. Obviously we're going to get a lot of new extra study spaces once the library redevelopment is finished, and I think that will kind of help us out in the long-term run. But for the current kind of, until that's done, I think we should just advocate what we've got at the moment, make people more aware of like kind of facilities that are available, because there's a lot of like libraries around North Hall and stuff that I think are kind of be underused sometimes.
One big motion that the the SRC just debated at the end of the year, and that you have referenced in your manifesto, is the policy to support lecture capture technology, which is obviously in the process of being discussed for implementation throughout the university. What would you fight for lecture capture technology, and how would you press for it within the university?
I'm really passionate about lecture capture technology. We have a couple of professors in our own school who record their own lectures and put up podcasts of these, and these are extremely beneficial, like particularly around revision time, kind of looking back on kind of material and stuff, and kind of confining it in your mind in a way. And I think this is something that we need to kind of put the technology in place in all the lecture theatres so that it's just automatically done in the background, and that's what the university is looking at the moment. And I really want to push for this. I have personal experience with using the benefits of this, even trying to push it in my own school, you know what I mean, out with the kind of the university policy. And I think there's a lot of benefit to kind of have about that, and just kind of showing to the lecturers that it's beneficial, because they're quite hesitant about some of the kind of consequences of it, but just kind of showing them that it's worthwhile implementing this as a policy.
Yeah, you just mentioned it there, but what I was going to ask about is the idea that there is a lot of people within the university and academia in general who are very resistant to the idea of lecture capture technology. So how do you feel you would deal with that resistance and present the students' case in a way that will be successful?
I think it's just kind of going through case studies of kind of where it's being used and how efficient it works. And kind of relating academics to that. I think the kind of university might be going for like an opt-in kind of policy for lecturers to kind of join on to this. And I think once we kind of get a good group of academics already conducting this, it will become more of a normal kind of situation. But I think, again, just ensuring that, like, I think main concerns is kind of like lecture attendance and stuff like that. But just reviewing to make sure that these things don't happen, and present this to the academics that are concerned about it.
Another part of your manifesto focuses on the issue of postgraduates, and obviously postgraduates are an area of the university that people feel sometimes are neglected, and postgraduates themselves sometimes feel that they aren't involved enough within university life. So what would you do to advocate for postgraduates within your role?
So what I'd kind of like to do is create a separate postgraduate affairs committee within each school, kind of separate it from the SSCC in a way, so that they have their own unique platform to air their own problems. So their kind of problems aren't mixed and lost in against all the undergraduates kind of issues and stuff like that. And I think by giving them a unique platform that they can kind of talk on, we can get a lot more of their feedback and represent them better throughout each of the departments. And then I think also ensuring that within the Students' Association that they are present within education committee, and that there's active points in all the agendas that they can contribute to.
You mentioned the issue of representation, but not just for postgraduates. Your manifesto also references academic representation in general. So what would you do to increase participation in class recollections, get students more involved in being a class rep, getting students more involved in representing their interests within different schools?
I think this is kind of like a transparency kind of issue. That's how I would kind of tackle this, because I feel like a lot of people are unaware, kind of, unless you're really involved, you're kind of unaware of kind of what's going on, like how class reps operate, what their kind of job is like. I think by increasing transparency, making it more aware of what people are up to in these jobs, I think it will make it more appealing for people to kind of apply to and kind of get invested in, because these are great things that have been set up, and it's really to use, to like have our voice being projected, and it's a powerful tool. But I think just ensuring that people are aware that what power these we can get through, like how we can advocate for change, and that it's not that the academics do respect us, our opinion, they do listen to us. It's not just us kind of complaining and them just ignoring us in a way.
Moving on to another point you raised in your manifesto is the topic of class sizes. You said obviously that you're accepting universities are going to continue to increase the number of students. You said you were trying to advocate that in a responsible way. You also said you want to try and keep class sizes to tutorial groups small. Do you think that's realistic while the university continues to increase the number of students that it has?
I think it's something we need to carefully look at. The university definitely needs to kind of consider and plan forward for these increasing student numbers. Because these are great environments for teaching, and it really allows people to express themselves and get the most out of their education. I don't have any particular ideas of how we can go about this, but I think kind of working with the university and the senior management team, we can kind of implement ideas that kind of will help these kind of things, because it's a great teaching environment, and it would be a shame to kind of see it go because of the increased student numbers.
Moving on from that, another major part of the Director of Education role would be the issue of extenuating circumstances, which Jack Carr, the current role rep, made a big part of his manifesto when he ran for the first time and when he ran again last year. What would you do to build on his policies of extenuating circumstances, and what do you want to do for students with extenuating circumstances in general?
So something I'm kind of interested in looking at is ensuring that there's someone in each department that students can kind of go to if they're kind of struggling and have issues kind of that are affecting their education. So that these, because I find like sometimes it's student services you can go to, but they don't have the specific knowledge of how the department runs, how your course kind of operates. And I think by having an academic in each, the kind of school that kind of has that inside information and can kind of help you a bit better. And I think then that they can correlate this information and pass it on to the director of teaching when it's relevant, when these extenuating circumstances come up, and to make an informed decision about kind of how their grades have been impacted and stuff like this.
So do you think the university does need to do more to help students who have these extenuating circumstances?
I think there's, like, this is what Jack has obviously addressed, there's a lot of different opinions and different methods that each school kind of go about, and I think kind of continuing to push for a university-wide kind of policy on this to ensure that everyone's in a fair ground on the same platform and stuff like that, I think is very important, and that's something I'm really passionate to keep taking forward, that Jack's obviously been working on this year.
Going back to the issue of academic representation, bar just like the obvious things that are like class recollections and getting students more involved in running for positions within classes and schools, what do you want to do to help students like represent their interests within schools?
So I think kind of sorry, can you repeat the question?
Just in terms of things outside, just directly outside of not just class recollections, because obviously students aren't the only time they get to speak, a lot of them feel, is class recollections and things like that. So what would you do to expand academic representation outside of just class recollections?
Okay, I'd quite like to have like open kind of office hours and kind of work with the school presidents to ensure that they always have an open door policy, that people who have any kind of issues that they're having within the department feel free to kind of come up to them and address these kind of issues, and the school president can then take them on in an informed way to kind of implement policies to kind of help counteract these issues that they may be having.
One of the other big things that the Director of Education as a SAAB role would do would be sit on councils. Now, I don't think you've sat on councils before, so what do you feel you would bring to the SRC and the SSC and the other bodies that the Director of Education would sit on that perhaps that you don't have from not having experience as a councillor?
So I think I've adapted quite a lot the past year, kind of moving into my school president role, because I wasn't a class rep before, and I kind of adapted quite quickly to ensure that I was efficient on all the committees that I've now joined and stuff in that. So I think I can quickly adapt to kind of the new situation in the SRC committee, or the SRC. In terms of what I can bring to the SRC, I think I can kind of bring a different kind of thought process. I find we tend not to have a lot of kind of science sabbaticals, so I think just kind of having a different experience of education within the university might be quite useful. You can get like a fresh pair of eyes to kind of look at issues and stuff like that.
Now, referencing your work as like president of school chemistry, I know we spoke about your experience just in general earlier, but to go into more detail about that, how do you feel specifically your role this year as president of school chemistry would prepare you for the role of Director of Education?
So obviously the Director of Education is responsible for training and leading the team of school presidents. So I already have knowledge of how these operations work, kind of efficient methods to get your policies implemented. So I feel like I would be able to efficiently lead the kind of team of school presidents so that they can implement policies within their own school that they're passionate about, and as well as kind of use them to work with me to push my policies into each school and stuff like that. And also I have ran class recollections as part of school president, so that's another thing that I can really help out for, and I've kind of identified kind of issues within the class rep system that I think kind of improved training could kind of be useful to kind of improve upon. Like, I find like class reps sometimes can be quite disengaged with kind of ongoing events in the kind of the department, and just showing that they can work independently of their school president and they're allowed to work on their own policies separate if they want, and just kind of give them the avenue to explore that and work on their own.
Another policy that you explored in your manifesto was the idea of differing methods of assessment and relating to how we assess students, and you specifically said diversity of assessment. So do you want to just explain that policy in more detail and what you do to implement it as Director of Education?
So I feel like diversity of assessment is a really important thing, because the real world isn't a bunch of exams, you know what I mean? Like, you're constantly assessed throughout your work life in different manners, and I feel that university should reflect that and kind of prepare you for that kind of environment. So just ensuring that all your assessments are just varied, like through different like workshops, class tests, kind of like lecturer participation, that kind of thing, I think is really important, and it's something I think students are really passionate about. Kind of moving away from this old style of just 100% exam modules and stuff like that. And to kind of promote it, I would kind of collaborate with each of the schools, and kind of each school kind of does do bits of different kind of coursework, and kind of take ideas from each school and see how they would work in each other's departments, and kind of really kind of encourage them to kind of collaborate and work together in kind of improving this diversity of assessment.
Now, just speaking about the Director of Education role specifically, obviously, like we spoke about earlier, as a new role this year, what do you? And one of the main reasons they made the new role is they feel that Director of Representation hasn't had the time to focus on either parts of the remit. So, what do you feel you could do this year as just the sole Director of Education that previous Directors of Representation haven't been able to do in the past?
I think just kind of just focus entirely on education, and ensure that all of my policies I can put through and work 100% on, ensure that when I write them out that they're 100%, they're exactly what I want, and put the care and the detail into these to ensure that students' voices are heard through that, and make sure that it's done properly and correct. And I'd also like to spend a lot more time working with the school presidents to kind of foster a greater sense of kind of community between us all, that I think would be really beneficial in kind of sharing ideas and kind of collaborating on projects with each other. Kind of setting up kind of the team effort kind of groups and stuff, I think could be really beneficial and powerful.
So, Zach, is there any other policies that you feel you haven't described in today that you feel students should know about before they vote on whether or not to make you Director of Education?
Something again I'm quite passionate about is kind of looking kind of in the direction of lecture capturing stuff, and looking at other kind of technology that we can use to kind of really boost the educational experience here at St Andrews. Obviously technology is taking leaps and bounds and stuff, but sometimes lectures kind of just stay the same. It's kind of right on a blackboard, and I feel there's a lot of kind of tools out there that we can look at and kind of see, and to improve upon the educational experience and ensure that, you know what I mean, you're trying to find the words for this. Yeah, just to kind of improve the experience and the quality of teaching, and ensure that it's the best it can be, because we're all here to learn, and we want to be able to do that in the best environment possible.
Is there any final message you'd have to students before they decide whether or not to vote for you to be Director of Education?
I think just kind of look back at kind of, I have the right experience. I've kind of been actively involved in academic representation the past year. I'm really passionate about this. It's something I really have enjoyed doing this past year. Sometimes I end up spending more time on it than my actual degree, you know, and I really want to listen to students, kind of take their concerns and take them forward and make sure that they're heard, because we've all come here to learn, and I feel that that experience needs to be the best it can be.
Thanks, Zach, for speaking to us today. If you want to check out the rest of our interviews for all the sabbatical candidates, make sure to go to the same website or our YouTube channel. Thanks.